up once again with my same intro. We're back again for the third time now. Third video. No, this is part two of the van conversion, and it's all kind of time lapsey, sort of sped up video with a kind of rushed narration, but I think it gets the point across, and it should be okay. So it just goes through the rest of the van conversion. There's a couple bits that, well,
What?
there's a couple bits that like aren't included, like the drawers and a couple of things like that, but we just didn't have any footage of it. So during the van tour, we can kind of show that off a bit more, which will be coming out soon. Probably not the next video, but it will be here soon. So yeah, make sure you stay tuned for that, and I hope you enjoy the video. Alright guys, it's going to be our first narrated video, and frankly I don't know how well this is going to go, but we'll just kick it off. This whole video is kind of sped up because, well, we couldn't really keep it slow because it was kind of just boring, like really boring. So we started to speed everything up and like maybe narrate. Yeah, there you go. Here's me vacuuming. So, in the first few clips here, I'm vacuuming the floor because we're about to... Yeah, so we were preparing to put down the old floor that the previous owner actually had cut for us, which was perfect. Well, they didn't cut it for us, but it was already cut, so it was perfect. There's a bunch of holes in the ground, so in this next clip, well, the clip that's playing right now, I had to go through with some like silicone type stuff and fill in all the holes, so the water doesn't splash up from underneath the van, ruin our like MDF floor. Would have like swelled up and been ruined. So I had to do that, and then after this, we were going to get ready to glue it down. Alright, because I have literally zero experience with using liquid nails. I don't know, it's just like a glue, just called liquid nails. Dad jumped in to put down a bit of globs here and there, so then we can stick down the floor nice and tight. I thought you'd need a lot more than we actually used, frankly, but apparently just a couple of dots here and there and it held it down, and we've been, living in the van for a while now and it hasn't had any problems, so it's been perfect. So, like I said, this floor was already made for us. I don't know, it was already in the van and it kind of worked out perfect to come out. So it was just like cut in half and we just threw the bad boy back in. And after that, we stuck down our own floor. On top of the liquid nails you'll see in this clip, we actually had to screw all the floor down. It was just to make sure 100% that it was going to hold it down and wasn't going to move. That's why we put screws in. So when it came to the flooring, we wanted to have this nice like wooden look, but we couldn't use actual wood obviously because it'd be too heavy. So we went to Bunnings and actually found this nice like click clack flooring, and it like sort of clicks together, like kind of like a puzzle piece. So in these next few clips, we were just laying it out, kind of getting the idea of how we're going to put it before we glue it down, make some cuts and measurements. We can, as you can see, the floor is kind of like not really lined up at all, but that's because we kind of did it wrong because we didn't get enough. So we kind of had to make sure it would fit the entire flooring. So we kind of just laid it out however so it would fit. And it wasn't a big deal because when we actually put the bed on, it covers up 90% of the floor anyway, and you know, doesn't look bad. You'll see that later on, but yeah. So once again, yeah, his dad, he's cutting and measuring all the pieces, and then we're going to stick it down and glue it all. Some of these pieces that we had to cut out were actually a bit trickier than first expected. And so Dad used this really good technique. I couldn't really showcase it that well in the video, but I'll try to explain it. He used the cardboard to kind of get the angles right. So he would put the cardboard up next to it, measure it, mark it, and he would like hand draw it, and he would cut it out with scissors and line it up and see how well it fit. And he'd just keep trimming it till it worked, and then like slot it in perfect. And once he's done that, he was able to take that, trace it onto pieces, and then cut them out with the jigsaw. So that actually worked really well because I was kind of like stressing about how we're going to do these pieces because it's like really odd pieces. When we glue it down, you'll see that one in the corner he's doing right now. It's like kind of like a key shape, but it turned out really well. He's a genius, honestly. He did a lot of this build with us, and without him, I don't think we would have got it done. Yeah, here's the first few clips of us gluing it down. Once again, we just kind of used the liquid nails to stick it down, and then we got a bit of towel and a piece of wood to knock it into place. So I decided to leave out majority of it being glued throughout the video because it kind of got a bit boring. But in this first clip or so, I wanted to keep it in to show you the technique. So as you can see, we've got the towel and just hammered it down to protect the floor. But after this, we're just gonna, click clack them down quick, like snappy. After the flooring was done, it's probably about a few days later, but we got this insulation type stuff. It's actually sound deadening and insulating. So it's like you buy in big rolls. It's for cars. I don't know specifically what for, but we used it for our walls, and we bought it off of
Dick Smith.
yeah, like Bell said, we bought it off of Dick Smith. I think it was like $40 a roll or
We
something.
bought like 5 rolls and used one.
Yeah. We literally used like nothing. We overbought, but I would 100% recommend this product. It worked great. It actually sound deadens really well and holds the heat and cold in. It's really great. So yeah, this next couple of clips is just us gluing it on, and well, as you can see, it's kind of not super neat, but it's not important. It's all it's going to do is cover the whole wall, and that'll stop the heat. So that's that. Yeah, and after we did all the insulation, as you can see, like I said, I think in the previous video, I explained that Dad actually cut out all these panels out of plywood rather than using that crappy cardboard stuff that was in there before. I don't know, it's not actually cardboard, but it's just so old and weathered away, it was just nothing left. So Dad actually cut them out like perfect. As you can see, it fits like super snug. And he just drilled them on, added some screws on there because we couldn't use the original clips that were on there. They were kind of just broken and just crap. So I only showed one because, don't want to waste your time. And this is when we get into the roofing. And this one is quite a ridiculous one. Once again, we were just putting insulation on the roof. Same stuff, just sticking it to the back of the plywood, which we actually use plywood to like bend up into the area. You'll see in a second, but it's a little bit tricky and we couldn't really think of much. So we just did this. So we just stuck down the insulation on the back and then crammed it up in the top. Yeah, so here you go. You can see why we chose plywood. It is quite flexible and was able to get into those grooves behind the edges of the wall, and it actually fit really well. The funny part about this is as you can see, there's like kind of a white metal beam that actually slots up like a rail across the roof, and to get that up, we used a car jack, and it was quite ridiculous. Let's just say it wasn't really up to code. I thought I would keep in a little clip of the carjacking choice of getting it up, but as you can see, we used a 2x4, which could have at any point fallen out and probably hit one of us and been really bad. But it's not the point. It got the job done, and we only did it a couple of times, and well, it worked.
And the roof's still holding up.
So here's us putting the bed frame in, which my dad actually measured, cut, welded everything. Everything you see here is completely custom built from absolute scratch. He's absolutely incredible, and he did this all by himself. We just gave him the size dimensions we wanted, and we originally tried putting this frame in as a whole. As you can see, it's in two, but when we tried to put it in as a whole, it didn't fit through the back door, as you can imagine. And so we had to put it in half, cut it in half, and screwed it back together, and it worked absolute wonders. And for the top thing, rather than putting slats, we decided to use a bit of plywood. Well, it's this construction grade plywood, which this waterproof plywood, which he just cut and measured everything as well, and we put some hinges on and soldered it in. It actually works, and we've got these seats which lift up for easy storage, one on either side. And like I said, here's the lifting up bed on the gas struts. Lifts itself up and slots back down. So that's going to be all our underneath storage for our bulk stuff like clothes, food, and everything like that. We've also got this table, which was my request, and Dad made it happen. It just pops up, and you put this little right angle bracket, as you can see. Does up tight, and then you slide the table on top, and you do it up tight.
Nice pajama pants.
Thanks. See, as you can see, it still allows the bed to be used. So we actually had a foam mattress which we cut to size to fit on the 2 cushions and the table. And so when you've got the table up, you can still use the 2 cushions to lay down fully.
Mm-hmm.
And then here's our fridge, which we haven't really talked about much besides the first video. But this is actually it in place. We didn't have any footage of us putting it in because, well, we're a bit slack. But it's a dual zone fridge with fridge and freezer. And this is our cabinets, and this is me mimicking how the drawers will work as well as the cabinet door. Okay, this was a fun one. So we had to cut the countertop to size, which is just, it was a good product from Bunnings, but overall it kind of sucks. So
it looks good.
Yeah, it looks good and it holds up well. However, they give you this kind of edge piece to glue back on that like stops it from looking crap on the edge, but it just does not work at all. So we ended up having to throw it in the bin and just do our own thing. You'll see that later on. I'll point it out. So in this clip here, you can see Dad's cutting out our sink. We actually ordered we originally bought this really massive, ridiculous sink that, well, it would never fit.
The big round one.
Yeah, it's a big circle like dish, and it was terrible. So we ended up finding this much smaller, way more convenient, like tiny sink, and we were able to line it up, and Dad was able to cut it out for us. Now, there was a bit of issues when we were cutting it out because our jigsaw actually doesn't cut the whole way through. So as you'll see in a second, we had to flip it over to actually cut the whole way through. And that was a bit of a challenge because we were worried we weren't really going to line it up properly. But in the end, it turns out like perfect, and you'll see the sink fits in snug as hell. So we also forgot to mention, but we also drilled the hole for the sink.
Tap.
We also drilled the hole for the tap, and that ended up working perfect as well, first go. And then to attach the countertop to our cabinets that we already had in place, we put these little right angle brackets which just screw onto it. As you can see also, there is the drawers in place right now, but we didn't end up recording any of that. Here's us putting the countertop in, and we just screwed it in to those right angle brackets from underneath. We were going to include this as like a really satisfying clip of us peeling the plastic off, but
it's the least satisfying thing ever.
Yeah, it was pretty much just terrible.
It didn't peel in one piece.
Yeah, it didn't peel at all. It just didn't work. So I've ended up cutting out about half of that. But after that, we put in a tap for our sink, and here's a little clip to show you. To ensure our sink doesn't move, we actually just use some silicone around the edge and on the lip of the sink. So as you can see, Dad is applying silicone because I have no idea how to do that. Like, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. I just didn't want to put, not enough or too much. So Dad did that. As I said, he played a big part in making this van conversion work. And as you can see, our final product of our sink in place, it looks really good and fits snug and super flat.
Awesome.
Alright, I hope you guys liked the whole video. Like I said, the narration's a bit... But first one, didn't really write a proper script because... So yeah, we didn't really do like a proper structured script because it felt a bit wrong. So I kind of did a bit of improv, and some parts are good, some parts aren't that great. But I hope it was watchable. And if not, you could just
don't let us know in the comments.
Yeah, don't dislike it.
If you get to this point, comment shampoo. Comment palm olive shampoo.
Palm olive.
See ya. We're not gonna give you a day because we'll never make it.
Bye.